In 1947, a remarkably clear summer afternoon unfolded over Washington state as skies bore witness to an event sparking global fascination with unidentified phenomena subsequently. Kenneth Arnold, a respected pilot and businessman, was flying near Mount Rainier when he spotted 9 gleaming high-speed objects darting across the horizon in formation quite inexplicably. Their motion unfolded with mesmerizing fluidity, gliding erratically across sky unlike any aircraft he had previously witnessed. Arnold later likened their motion to a saucer skipped across water and press eagerly snatched phrase spawning term flying saucer. What started as one pilot's startling observation quickly snowballed into huge cultural phenomenon, ushering in modern era of UFO sightings nationwide. Mystery took flight on a day that altered skies forever, and suddenly world looked up with fresh bewildered eyes. Chapter 1 unfolds slowly with a routine flight eerily gliding over rugged Cascades on a typically tranquil morning somehow. Kenneth Arnold, a 32-year-old seasoned pilot and affluent Boise, Idaho businessman, took off from Chehalis, Washington in his Calere 2 on June 24, 1947. He went on search mission near Mount Rainier, locating downed military transport plane fast, hoping for sizable reward. Visibility stretched for miles under a clear sky and calm weather, creating ideal flying conditions remarkably. Arnold had flown through pretty turbulent airspaces rather frequently before. He navigated mountainous terrain with practiced ease after logging over 4,000 hours of flying time quite skillfully underground somehow. His flight path veered sharply eastward past snow-capped Cascade Range peaks. Something rather unusual suddenly caught his eye while he cruised steadily at around 9,200 feet at nearly 2 p.m. Bright light flashed off his aircraft, prompting a glance toward Mount Rainier rapidly. He saw them then. 9 silvery objects flew in tight formation, remarkably fast, moving across his field of vision suddenly. Arnold was most puzzled by motion of theirs. They didn't soar through skies like antiquated crates with propellers and wings held together with twine and prayers. They darted haphazardly through sky in unsteady yet resolute trajectory, like flat stones bouncing rapidly across serene lake's glassy surface. He stood mesmerized, observing them for almost 2 minutes before they disappeared swiftly behind snow-capped Mount Adams in a fairly abrupt manner. He observed their velocity and flight trajectory with rapt attention, sensing he had just beheld something utterly fantastical and possibly unprecedented. Shapes hover eerily in a sky above. Kenneth Arnold gazed intently at strange formation looming large overhead and swiftly grasped that these craft were hardly run-of-the-mill airplanes. 9 objects moved rapidly with uncanny agility, defying logic utterly. They moved diagonally in chain-like formation, weaving and darting rather jerkily as though somehow magically controlled by some unified intelligence. Suddenly, brilliance made them appear like polished metal under sunlight, and Arnold couldn't discern wings or tails on them whatsoever. He reckoned their elevation was roughly akin to his own, and size looked eerily similar to that of a vintage DC-4 airliner. Arnold started clocking their swift flight roughly between Mount Rainier and Mount Adams over a distance of nearly 50 miles. They traversed that distance in a remarkably short span of barely a minute and a half, quite astonishingly. A swift computation showed objects were hurtling at over 1,200 miles per hour, more than double speed of fastest aircraft back then. Most striking was their freaky movement style utterly. They moved kinda jerkily, not at all like sleek aircraft do. They skipped and shimmered erratically like skipping flat stones on water. Arnold's gaze stayed riveted on them as they flew quickly out of sight behind southern peaks in a remarkably swift flash. He sat alone in cockpit with mind racing frantically, trying to make sense of what had just transpired suddenly. Encounter lasted barely couple minutes, but it haunted his thoughts deeply for many years afterwards, with lingering eerie presence still felt. Chapter 3 births terminology. Rather curiously, amidst obscure historical contexts and largely unexamined cultural influences surrounding its emergence, Kenneth Arnold was mighty eager to share his astonishingly bizarre UFO sighting after landing safely on a rather rocky terrain. He flailed about quite awkwardly, describing objects' weird flight patterns when quizzed rather intensely by numerous eager reporters afterwards. Suddenly, he elaborated that their movements recalled a saucer skipping rapidly across water, quite bouncing and utterly erratic. Vivid description captivated press imagination and swiftly morphed into iconic representation of that bizarre aerial sighting. Flying saucer appeared in headlines across U.S. newspapers pretty quickly, almost immediately sparking widespread curiosity nationwide. Arnold himself hadn't intended naming objects but term perfectly captured public curiosity with a dash of mystique and bewildering sense of wonder. Suddenly skies were filled with mystifying possibilities, and notion of unidentified flying objects invading American airspace gained considerable traction very quickly. Arnold's description morphed sighting into somewhat bizarre cultural phenomenon overnight, with eerie reverberations across nation. Folks nationwide started gazing upwards, eagerly hoping to spy weird silhouettes lurking in skies. Flying saucer would forever be linked rather tenuously to Kenneth Arnold and beginning of modern UFO era somehow. A humble juxtaposition morphed into inferno of intrigue and dispute that burned brightly for many decades subsequently. Chapter 4 unfolds with a nation thoroughly gripped by morbid curiosity and utterly enthralled. News of Kenneth Arnold's sighting spread rapidly, captivating a nation eager for mystery after years of devastating worldwide conflict. Newspapers across United States ran dramatic headlines about flying saucers, and radio programs featured heated debates about strange objects in sky. Everywhere people began watching skies, hoping for personal encounters with unusual fervor under starry night skies. Suddenly, numerous individuals came forward after Arnold's report, claiming they had seen similar strange objects flying overhead quite recently. Reports of glowing discs and strange lights flooded local newspapers, creating a very big wave of public fascination suddenly everywhere. Suddenly sightings surged, sparking a jarring mix of fear and mystified speculation about possible visitors from other realms. Very quietly, fascination was not confined solely among general populace. Military officials and government agencies took notice of growing reports and started investigating pretty quickly afterwards with considerable zeal. Arnold suddenly stood squarely amidst swirling media frenzy, his outlandish tale sparking remarkably one of 20th century's most baffling phenomena. Flying saucers had entered popular culture, and world's eyes gazed up at skies differently forever afterwards, with a newfound sense eerily. Chapter 5 Military Interests and Official Denials. With the increase in reports regarding so-called flying saucers, both military and government officials started to pay attention. The United States Air Force rapidly set up investigations to study the phenomenon with the intent of determining if any sightings posed danger to national security. Military and FBI officials interviewed Kenneth Arnold about his experience soon after. In spite of the greater public interest, official comments were usually made to play down the sightings. In most cases, they brushed aside the claims as misinterpretation of the movements of weather balloons, reflections of planes, or some natural event. Nonetheless, military organizations scrupulously gathered all possible information in order to evaluate the potential dangers. Although Arnold's account was kept the same throughout, the official stance taken still annoyed him. No matter how outlandish an explanation is offered, Arnold will always believe in what he witnessed. His government's public denial statements contradicting their secret inquiries were too much to bear. This became the seed of doubt and ungrounded mistrust that prevails to this day. This is how the flying saucer spectacle became an issue not only of curiosity, but also an enigma of national security. Chapter 6 Variations in People's Perception, Pseudoscience, Science and Sensationalism. As the public became more interested in flying saucers, Arnold's sighting generated various responses from the general public and professionals. From a scientific viewpoint, they were incredibly careful, looking for sensible explanations for the extraordinary phenomena. Certain scientists posited that Arnold, along with other witnesses, might be confusing natural phenomena such as clouds, balloons, or mirages with something out of this world. Some put forth the idea that disks moving at high speeds could be attributed to optical illusions or atmospheric conditions. Skeptics warned against these claims of unknown craft operating beyond our planet or unexplained visits from other worlds, and without any evidence supporting them taking visitors from other worlds. Folks who were a part of the sensationalism school of thought or sensationalists made notice of DOT, which wowed the public in the first place, paid enormous amounts through magazines, and at times, sensationalist newspapers and radio shows made money without having any regard to the public interest. While certain people believed in conducting proper research, others who underwent buzz of flying saucers as some mysterious stimulus for publicity sensationalized flying saucers, claiming them to be genuine mysteries to either investigate or find a solution for them. The other half dismissed them as seeing the reports as mass hype or tricks to garner attention. As the later years of the UFO phenomenon are built on decades of speculation and misinformation set during the early years of UFO-shaped speculated mired scientific research, while imagination and strict came strange science alongside public fuel confrontation. Scheduled reading, Chapter 7, The Legacy of June 24. The date of June 24, 1947, Kenneth Arnold sighting, marks an event in the chronicles of unexplained phenomenon. Not only did Arnold's sighting introduce the phrase, flying saucer, but also launched the public's rampant interest in unexplained equestrian phenomena revelers. Both Arnold's sighting and the public's curious gaze transformed America into a hotspot for UFO activity and poster shows as people began to report various forms of lights in the sky. Project Blue Book, classified investigations, as well as Arnold's sightings sparked a slew of books and movies by the public. Moreover, the event became a nationwide obsession. For the society, the event signified not only the interest to sights, but the acceptance that the sky signifies more than just an expanse of air to be explored, but a possible land of mystique visitors. The ongoing cultural debate continues to surround Arnold's experience till today and has sparked the idealistic strike of curiosity, fear and wonder surrounding UFOs. Ultimately, June 24 stays a date which redefined the modern calendar myths like we look up to understanding and pondering what exactly exists beyond earthly boundaries. Chapter 8, The Impact Kenneth Arnold Has Today. Kenneth Arnold's account of what he saw that singular day remains intact, regardless of any acknowledged skepticism or battles of controversy surrounding him. Throughout the years, he gave countless interviews and stood by the fact that the objects encountered were nothing like this world or any machine operating within it. His encounter stimulated, not just the public regard, but also serious inquiry regarding unidentified aerial phenomena. Arnold's experiences became the epicenter of the modern UFO phenomena, from which stem countless sightings, investigations, and theories concerning extraterrestrial life. In the times to come, governments all around the globe grappled with the phenomenon of aerial objects, and he became the talk starting from what was later called the New Wave of Encounters. Kenneth Arnold now shines alongside the birth of the flying saucer mythos, with his sighting marking the unforgettable mark of the fascination outstandingly perplexes society. Everything from saucers to chariots, UFOs, and beyond, is attributed to Arnold now alongside humans becoming unbearably curious of that which transcends their rationale. What Kenneth Arnold did was redefine humanity's flight along the Cascades, changing the way we perceive the skies above us, while also posing endless questions about what could lie out of our vision. Kenneth Arnold's sighting on that clear June day in 1947 changed how people began to view the skies. An encounter with a saucer-shaped aircraft while on a piloting adventure propelled him to new heights. The phrase, flying saucer, was blazoned across the world with Arnold being the gaze with the mishap of jetting off into the beyond with his jet of UFOs. Even in such tumultuous ridicule and official rebuttals, the shorrock of saucer-shaped astonishers fueled decades of speculation about alien beings outside Earth. Due to his sighting, wandments are met as invite realities yet unexplored or discovered, supporting the scope of alien life. Arnold's moment marked the inception of world-challenging thoughts detached from twain peers of civilization to embrace the concept of life greater than Earth.